It had been years since I had last set foot on my family's land. My father was never an easy man to get along with, but I knew how much this hunt meant to him. I had no idea what was waiting for us in those cold woods. No idea that my life was about to change forever. The men of my family had hunted in those woods for 200 years. We never imagined that forest might be home to predators even more dangerous than ourselves. I ran towards the sound of the wounded bear, fearing that the grizzly would find my brother before I could stop it. But I was wrong about who was hunting who. 10 years passed. My father and I hardly spoke, neither of us willing to forgive the other or ourselves for Adrian's death. My father retired to live in seclusion on his private game reserve in Uganda, while I made a name for myself as a professional hunter. After 10 years without a word, my father reached out to me. Soon we would hunt together again. Not for sport this time, but for redemption. For the first time since the day Adrian died, I was no longer certain of my own place at the top of the food chain. I knew then how my ancestors must have felt, struggling to survive in a hostile wilderness where the hunter is both predator and prey. The flames washed across the savannah like a tidal wave, driving the herds into a massive stampede. We heard the buffalo coming long before we could see them, an avalanche of clashing horns and thundering hooves. The rhino hit like a runaway train, 2,000 pounds of bone and armored muscle. The raging flames had driven the beast mad. I knew nothing short of my own death would quench the fury in the rhino's heart. When I came to my senses, night had fallen and Mbeki was gone. The savannah burned all around me, painting the night sky crimson and gold. But the heat of those flames paled in comparison to the fire burning inside me as I set out on Mbeki's trail. I could now see the lights of my father's hunting lodge glowing in the distance, looking down on me like the eyes of some nocturnal predator. An icy dread crept through my guts as I entered the forest and came upon the ruins of an abandoned military camp. The soldiers were long gone, but as I would soon discover, a new army had emerged from the jungle to take their place. As I stepped into the yawning mouth of the cave, I heard a sound like the laughter of devils echoing in the bowels of hell. I could feel eyes watching me from the darkness, though whether it was my father's gaze I felt, or the eyes of the beast, I will never know. I stepped through the trapdoor and emerged in the hall of my father's house. In that moment I felt a strange mixture of horror and relief. My worst fears had been realized, but I knew then that I had finally reached the end of my journey. One way or another, the nightmare would soon be over.